The champagne-colored gown whispered across the marble floor as Megan Caldwell stood in the honeymoon suite of the Sterling Grand Hotel, staring at the man she had married less than 4 hours earlier. The room still smelled like celebration. Champagne, roses, expensive perfume, the faint sweetness of cake frosting that clung to the air. Everything looked exactly like the beginning of a marriage, except the man standing in front of her looked like the end of one. Brandon Prescott stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, hands in his pockets, his posture stiff in a way that had nothing to do with fatigue. The city lights behind him turned him into a silhouette for a moment, and Megan noticed something strange. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't conflicted. He looked resolved, like someone who had already made the decision days ago and was only now announcing it. When he finally turned around, his face carried the calm, detached focus of someone about to close a difficult business deal. And then he said it. Not loudly, not cruelly, not emotionally, almost clinically. I want a divorce. For a second, Megan didn't understand the words. They seemed to float in the air between them without meaning. Then he added, I already had the papers prepared. And then, I'm in love with someone else. The world did not collapse. It did something worse. It stayed completely still. Megan's fingers slowly tightened around the back of a velvet chair. She wasn't even aware she had reached for it until she realized she needed something solid to stay upright. Her voice came out quieter than she expected. Is this some kind of joke? Brandon didn't answer immediately. That was answer enough. She tried again. Did something happen tonight? Did I miss something? We can talk about this. People go through things. Her brain was trying to solve it like a problem, because problems could be fixed. But Brandon didn't look like a man interested in fixing anything. He walked to the desk, opened a leather portfolio, pulled out a folder. It had been sitting there the whole time, waiting, like a trap she had unknowingly walked into. Megan felt her stomach drop. You planned this, she whispered. Brandon exhaled slowly. I didn't plan it like that. But he didn't deny planning. Then he said the name. Calm, simple, ordinary. As if it belonged in this conversation. Sienna Rowe. The name hit like ice water. Everyone knew Sienna Rowe. Magazine covers, billboards, runways, interviews. A woman whose face people recognized even if they didn't follow fashion. Megan blinked slowly. Sienna, the model? Yes. Megan tried to piece together reality. But she was engaged to that actor. Not anymore. He said it gently. She reached out 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. The number landed harder than the name. 2 weeks. He had known. He had stood at the altar, held her hands, said vows, kissed her while their families applauded, danced their first dance, posed for photos. And somewhere inside all of that, he had already left. Megan felt something inside her fracture. Not shatter, not yet, just crack. A fault line forming. Why didn't you cancel the wedding? It wasn't anger, it was confusion. Real confusion. Brandon actually hesitated this time. I thought I could still do it, he admitted. I thought maybe, if I committed, if I chose you, maybe the feelings would follow. That hurt more than anything else. Not betrayal, not the other woman. The idea that she had been a logical decision, a responsible choice, a safe option. But they didn't, she said quietly. No. The honesty was brutal. I can't build a life on something that isn't real. Megan stared at him, and something unexpected happened. Clarity, painful, but clear. Get out. Brandon didn't move. Maybe he thought she didn't mean it. Her voice broke when she said it again. Get out. Still calm, still controlled, until something finally snapped. Get out! The sound tore through the suite. Brandon nodded once. No argument, no drama. He grabbed his jacket, walked to the door, paused like he might say something, then didn't. The door closed with a soft click, and somehow that quiet sound felt more final than their vows. Megan stood there for a long time, not moving, not crying, just standing. Then slowly, she sank to the floor. The heavy gown pooled around her like melted gold. her body finally giving in to gravity when her mind couldn't process anything else. She expected tears. They didn't come. The pain had settled somewhere deeper, below shock, below heartbreak, somewhere numb. She sat there for hours. The city lights blurred through the glass, cars moving, people living, life continuing like nothing had happened. Around 3 a.m., she finally asked herself the question that comes after every betrayal. Were there signs? Little things she ignored? Moments she explained away? Red flags she painted green because she wanted the future to work? She thought about small delays, conversations he avoided, the way he sometimes looked distracted. She had told herself, he's stressed, he's busy, he's tired. Now she wondered, or was he already gone? Dawn came slowly, cold light replacing the artificial glow of the city. And somewhere between night and morning, Megan understood something she would not fully accept for months. The wedding hadn't ended her life, but it had ended the version of her that believed love meant being chosen. She didn't know it yet, but this was not the night she lost everything. This was the night she would eventually stop accepting less than she deserved. 3 weeks after the wedding that never really became a marriage, Megan Caldwell received an email she almost didn't open. The sender line alone was enough to make her stomach tighten. Prescott Enterprises. For a few seconds, she just stared at it on her laptop screen while her coffee went cold beside her. Her first instinct was simple. Delete it. Pretend it never existed. She had spent the last 3 weeks carefully rebuilding something fragile inside herself. Therapy appointments, long walks, late-night conversations with Jenna. Learning how to wake up without immediately reliving that night. Opening anything connected to Brandon felt like reopening a wound that was just beginning to close. But curiosity won. It usually did with Megan. She opened the email. Her eyes moved quickly through the formal language, then stopped. Interview invitation, senior marketing director. She blinked, scrolled back up, read again, then again. It wasn't a mistake. The salary alone made her heart race. $85,000, more than double what she currently made at Coleman and Whitfield. Her first thought, there has to be a catch. Her second, is this some kind of guilt move? Her third, did Brandon do this? Then she noticed something important. The signature. Not Brandon Prescott. Nathan Mercer, Chief Executive Officer. Her brow furrowed. She said it out loud without realizing. When did Brandon stop being CEO? Jenna, who had been pacing the kitchen behind her with nervous energy, immediately grabbed her phone. What do you mean? Megan turned the laptop. Jenna read fast, then frowned, then started searching. Oh wow, wait, she read aloud. Brandon Prescott stepped down 2 weeks ago following board restructuring. New CEO Nathan Mercer. Turnaround specialist, previously restructured 3 failing companies. Youngest executive partner at Mercer Capital. Jenna looked up. Okay, that's interesting. Megan leaned back in her chair. So this might not be about Brandon at all. Jenna crossed her arms. Or it could be very much about Brandon. How? Pity hire, guilt hire, damage control hire. Megan considered that. Possible. But something didn't feel right. The email wasn't emotional, it wasn't personal, it was very corporate, structured, professional. The kind of message HR would approve. She looked again, then said something that surprised even her. I'm going. Jenna stopped pacing. What? I'm going to the interview. Megan, I'm not letting Brandon decide what doors I can walk through. That part was new. 3 weeks ago, she would have avoided anything connected to him. Now something else was forming. Not confidence yet, but something close. If it's a trap, Megan said calmly, I walk out. Jenna studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, yeah, okay. That's actually very you. Friday afternoon arrived with cold autumn air and clear skies. Megan stood in front of her mirror longer than usual, not because she wanted to impress anyone, because she wanted to feel composed. She chose her best navy suit, the one she had saved for big presentations. Structured but not flashy, professional without trying too hard, armor. That's what it felt like. When she walked into Prescott Enterprises, she understood immediately why the building had that reputation. Glass, steel, stone, clean lines. everything designed to communicate power without saying a word. Her heels echoed across the marble lobby. For a moment, she felt that old insecurity creeping in. Do I belong here? Then she straightened slightly. Yes. She had earned her place in every room she had ever entered, even if she had forgotten that for a while. The executive assistant who greeted her was efficient but kind. No curiosity, no awkwardness, no, "Oh, you're that Megan." Just, "Mr. Mercer will be with you shortly." That alone told her something important. This wasn't a spectacle. This was business. She was led into a conference room overlooking the city. For a few minutes, she sat alone, watching employees move with purpose outside the glass walls. No Brandon, no whispers, no tension, just work. Then the door opened. Nathan Mercer walked in. He wasn't what she expected. Yes, he was tall. Yes, he had presence. But what surprised her most wasn't his appearance. It was his energy. Calm, grounded. Not the kind of confidence that demanded attention. The kind that didn't need it. His handshake was firm but brief. "Thank you for coming in, Megan." His tone was straightforward, professional, no sympathy, no awkward softness. That immediately earned her respect. They started talking, and something became clear quickly. He had actually read her work, not skimmed. Read. He referenced specific campaign metrics, strategy decisions, audience segmentation choices she had made. The Lakefront Dining Collective campaign, he said, was particularly smart repositioning. She blinked. Most people just say they liked it. Nathan smiled slightly. "I don't hire based on liking things." That made her relax for the first time. They talked for over an hour. Real conversation, not interview cliches, strategy, risk tolerance, leadership style, team conflict management. At one point he asked, "What was the hardest professional decision you've had to make?" She expected marketing questions. "Not that," she answered honestly. "Letting a project fail instead of saving it last minute. The client needed to see the consequences." Nathan nodded. "That's rare." He didn't mention Brandon once, not even indirectly. That told her something else important. He wasn't interested in her history, only her capability. Finally, he leaned back slightly. "I'll be direct." She appreciated that. "This company needs fresh thinking. Previous leadership made several strategic decisions I would not have made. Careful wording, professional, but clear. I believe you could be part of correcting that. Then, I'd like to offer you the position." Just like that, no drama, no buildup, just business. 85,000, full benefits, 3 weeks vacation, team leadership, strategic input. She felt the moment land. This wasn't just a job, this was a reset. She forced herself to stay composed. "Can I have the weekend to think about it?" Nathan nodded immediately. "Of course." No pressure. Another green flag. When they shook hands again, he said something simple. "We hire for where someone is going, not where they've been." She didn't realize until she reached the elevator how much she needed to hear that. Outside, the air felt different. Or maybe she did. For the first time since her wedding night, she felt something unfamiliar. Not happiness, not yet, but possibility. And possibility felt a lot like hope. 6 weeks into her new role at Prescott Enterprises, Megan was still getting used to the feeling that she belonged there. Not completely, not yet. Confidence, she was learning, didn't return all at once. It came back in small, quiet victories. A successful presentation, a client trusting her judgment, a meeting where she spoke without second-guessing herself afterward. That afternoon, she was reviewing campaign projections long after most of the office had gone home. Her desk lamp created a small circle of light while the rest of the office faded into evening shadows. She had just started to feel that rare, satisfying focus that comes when work finally clicks. Then she heard a voice in the hallway, and her entire body reacted before her mind did. Her shoulders tensed, her fingers stopped moving. Her heartbeat changed rhythm. She knew that voice. Brandon Prescott walked past her glass office wall laughing at something a colleague had said. His posture was relaxed, his suit perfect, his life apparently untouched. For a second, anger flickered. Not because he looked happy, because he looked normal, as if nothing had happened. Then his eyes met hers. His smile faded instantly. He stopped walking. For a brief second, they just looked at each other. Then he changed direction, toward her office. Megan's first instinct was almost physical. Lock the door, hide, avoid. Instead, she took one slow breath and straightened slightly in her chair. Running was what the old version of her would have done. She wasn't that version anymore. Not completely healed, but not that woman either. When he knocked lightly and stepped inside, she noticed something she hadn't expected. He looked older, not physically, but tired, like someone who had not been sleeping well. "Hi," he said quietly. She didn't stand, didn't smile. "Hello." Professional tone, neutral, controlled. It seemed to unsettle him more than anger would have. "I heard you were working here," he said. "Yes. I wanted to talk." She nodded slightly toward the chair across from her desk. "You can sit if this is work-related." That landed. He sat, slowly. "I wanted to apologize," he said. She waited. Silence made people say more. "I handled everything badly," he continued. "I should have been honest earlier." Megan watched him carefully, not emotionally, observationally, almost the way she watched difficult clients now. "There is nothing to apologize for," she said calmly. That surprised him. "There isn't?" "You were honest about your feelings." She paused. "Eventually." That small word carried weight. "I appreciate honesty," she added, "even if the timing was destructive." He flinched slightly. That was the first real reaction. "I should have called off the wedding." "Yes." Simple. No drama, just truth. He studied her face like he was trying to find the woman he remembered. "How are you really doing?" That question used to have power. Now it felt distant. "I'm doing well." Not a performance, not a defense, just fact. "This job is challenging in the best way. I'm learning a lot." He nodded slowly. "You always deserved more opportunities." She met his eyes directly now. "I deserved someone who chose me first." The words were calm, not sharp. That made them land harder. He didn't argue. After a moment, he stood. "I am glad you're doing well." "I am too." After he left, Megan sat very still, waiting. For the emotional crash she had expected. For the shaking, for the pain. It didn't come. What came instead surprised her. Relief, like confirming a wound had finally closed. She whispered to herself, "I'm okay." And for the first time, she believed it. 3 months into the job, the results were no longer subtle. Her department had secured 4 new major contracts. Client retention numbers were climbing. Industry newsletters had begun mentioning Prescott Enterprises again, but this time for growth instead of decline. Nathan called her into his office one morning. Not urgently, not dramatically. Just, "Do you have a minute?" His office felt different from Brandon's old leadership style. Less display, more function, whiteboard notes, open reports, coffee that had clearly gone cold from being ignored. He handed her a folder. "The board wants to feature your department in the annual report." She blinked. "Already?" "You underestimate how visible results are when they exist." She smiled slightly. "I'm still catching up." Nathan shook his head. "No, you're accelerating." That mattered. Not flattery, recognition. Then he added, "They also approved expanding your team budget." That one hit deeper. Trust, real trust. Then his tone shifted slightly, less executive, more human. "There is something else." He paused. That was unusual. "There is a charity gala next Saturday, pediatric medical research. The company sponsors it annually." She nodded. "I'd like you to attend as a department representative." Professional, expected. Then he added carefully, "And if you would be comfortable, I would enjoy your company there." A small pause. "As my date." He didn't lean forward, didn't charm, didn't push. He just waited, giving her room. That mattered more than anything he could have said. Megan studied him. Nathan had never crossed a boundary, never flirted in meetings, never treated her differently. And yet, she had noticed small things. The way he remembered she preferred data summaries instead of long reports. How he once brought her coffee after a 7 a.m. strategy session because he remembered she skipped breakfast. How he never interrupted her in meetings. Respect before attraction. That was new. she answered honestly. I would like that. Relief crossed his face for half a second. Then professionalism returned. Good. She almost laughed. He clearly wasn't used to dating inside power structures either. Later that evening, she looked at the invitation. Monarch Ballroom. Her stomach dropped. Same venue, 6 months ago. Her wedding. She sat down slowly. Old Megan would have declined, avoided, protected herself. New Megan did something else. She took a breath. This is just a room, she told herself. Not a trauma site, not a memory. Just a room. And this time, she would be walking in by choice. Not hope, not illusion, choice. Nathan would be beside her. And for the first time in a long time, that felt steady instead of overwhelming. Megan stepped into the Monarch Ballroom wearing an emerald green gown and felt the air leave her lungs for half a second. Nothing wyglądało tak samo. I водночас усе виглядало точно так само. Same chandeliers, same marble floors, same soft golden lighting, same orchestra platform. For a brief moment, her body remembered before her mind did. Her chest tightened. Her fingers went cold. Memory lives in the body longer than in the brain. Nathan noticed immediately. Not dramatically, not protectively, just quietly. You okay? He asked under his breath. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she took one slow breath, then another. I'm okay, she said. Not perfectly okay, but steady enough. Nathan didn't touch her immediately. He didn't rush to fix anything. He just stayed beside her. That alone grounded her. The evening began normally. Introductions, donors, board members, conversations about funding and strategy. Nathan moved easily through the room but never left her behind. When conversations became too technical, he pulled her in. When people focused on him too much, he redirected attention toward her work. Not showy, just respectful. And Megan realized something important. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was including her. That difference mattered more than charm. They danced once. Nothing dramatic. Just a slow song and comfortable silence. You look different tonight, Nathan said quietly. Different how? Like someone who knows exactly where she belongs. She almost smiled. Then she saw them, across the ballroom, near the champagne fountain. Brandon and Sienna Rowe. They looked exactly like what the media would expect. Perfect posture, perfect styling, perfect public image. Sienna's gold dress caught the light like liquid metal. Her expression was composed, practiced, almost camera-ready even when no cameras were present. Megan felt the old reflex try to return. Comparison. But it didn't fully land this time. Nathan followed her gaze. He understood immediately. We can leave, he said quietly. No ego, no challenge, just option. Megan surprised herself. No. She lifted her chin slightly. I belong here too. Nathan nodded once. Yes, you do. That was enough. Brandon noticed them seconds later. His body language changed instantly. Not dramatic, but subtle. His shoulders tightened. His smile disappeared. He said something quick to Sienna and began walking toward them. Megan felt tension return. Not fear, but readiness. Nathan's hand moved lightly to the small of her back. Not possessive, not territorial. Steady, grounding. Brandon stopped in front of them. There was a moment where none of them spoke. Just history standing between three people. You both look well, Brandon said finally. Nathan answered first. We are enjoying the evening. Professional, neutral. Brandon looked between them. Understanding came quickly. You're together? Megan held his gaze. That's not your business. Pause, then. Yes. Brandon absorbed that. His jaw tightened slightly. That was fast. The comment slipped out before he could stop himself. Megan didn't raise her voice. She didn't attack. She just said quietly, not as fast as ending a marriage 4 hours after it starts. Silence dropped between them. Nathan didn't react, didn't intervene. He let her own the moment. Brandon looked down briefly. That was the closest thing to shame she had ever seen on him. Sienna arrived then. Perfect timing, perfect composure. She assessed Megan in one fast professional glance. The kind women give each other when they already know the social hierarchy they expect to exist. Her smile was polite, but empty. "Hello," she said. Then to Nathan. "Nathan Mercer. It's been a while." There was recognition there. Business circles? Old networks? Nathan nodded politely. "Sienna." Distance, respectful, but clearly not personal. She noticed that. Her attention sharpened slightly. Then she looked back at Megan again, this time with curiosity. Like she was trying to understand why Brandon was still emotionally engaged. Nathan spoke softly. "Would you like to dance?" He didn't ask to rescue her. He asked to continue the evening. Megan nodded. They walked away, leaving Brandon and Sienna behind. On the dance floor, Megan finally exhaled fully. Nathan felt it. "You don't have to pretend you're fine," he said quietly. "I'm not pretending." Pause. "I'm just not where I used to be." That mattered more. "You handled that well." "I didn't feel strong," she admitted. "You didn't look strong." That surprised her. "What?" "You looked calm. That's different." That stayed with her. After the event, Nathan drove her home. The car ride was quiet, not uncomfortable. Processing quiet. At her building, he walked her to the door, like always. No expectations, no pressure. Then he said something carefully. "I need to say something before this goes further." Her guard rose slightly. "I did not hire you because I was attracted to you." Direct, important. "I hired you because you are excellent at what you do." She believed him. That mattered more than the words. "But now," he paused, choosing carefully. "I care about you." No big speech, no pressure. "I'm not interested in something temporary." She studied him, not romantically, seriously. "What are you looking for?" He gave a small, honest smile. "You." Then added immediately, "But only if you want the same." No urgency, no timeline. "No rush," he added. That was the moment she understood the difference between attention and safety. Brandon had made her feel chosen. Nathan made her feel respected. "I want this," she said. "But slow sounds good." Nathan nodded. "Slow is good." He kissed her forehead, not her lips, and that small decision told her everything she needed to know about him. When she closed her apartment door, she stood in the quiet for a long moment, thinking, feeling, recognizing something important. She wasn't the woman who had collapsed on a hotel floor anymore. She wasn't waiting to be chosen. She wasn't afraid of being left. She wasn't trying to prove her worth. She already knew it. And for the first time since that night, love no longer felt dangerous. It felt optional. And that changed everything. 8 months after the night that had almost destroyed her, Megan Caldwell sat behind the desk in her new executive office and tried to absorb the reality of what Nathan had just told her. Vice President of Marketing and Communications. The words still felt slightly unreal. A year ago, she had been working in a narrow cubicle at Coleman and Whitfield, stretching $38,000 across rent, bills, and student loans, wondering if she was falling behind everyone else her age. Now she was sitting on the executive floor of one of the fastest growing firms in the city, and she had earned it. Not through sympathy, not through connections, through results. Nathan didn't oversell it. That was his way. He just slid the performance report toward her. 17 new major clients. She flipped a page. Brand visibility up 35%. Another page. Department retention highest in 5 years. She looked up slowly. "You did this," Nathan said simply. "Not we. Not I helped. You." That mattered more than the promotion. "The board decision was unanimous," he added. Then he said something else that she knew he had thought carefully about. "This is completely separate from our relationship." She believed him, because he would have told her if it wasn't. When he hugged her, it wasn't romantic. It was proud. "Thank you for believing in me," she said quietly. Nathan shook his head. "You did the work. I just gave you room." That stayed with her. The promotion announcement had barely settled when her assistant called through the intercom. "There's someone here to see you, no appointment." Megan almost said no automatically. Then she heard the name. Brandon Prescott. Her chest didn't tighten this time. That surprised her. "Send him in." When he walked in, she noticed something immediately. He looked worn, still polished, still well-dressed. But something underneath was different. The confidence that used to come effortlessly now looked forced. "Congratulations," he said, and this time he meant it. "Thank you." He stayed standing, like he wasn't sure he had the right to sit. "I heard about your promotion." "News travels," he nodded. Then he said it. "Sienna and I ended things." She waited. "I thought you should know." Megan felt something unexpected. Nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just distance. "When?" "2 weeks ago." Pause. Then the words he should have said a year ago. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." He finally sat, leaning forward slightly. "I thought what I wanted was excitement, status, that world." He laughed quietly. But it was empty. Megan listened, not as someone hoping, not as someone wounded, just as someone hearing information. "I kept watching you," he admitted. "Your work, your confidence, the way you moved on." That part she didn't like. "That sounds unhealthy," she said calmly. He nodded. "It probably was." Then, "You were the one I loved." That sentence would have destroyed her once. Now it just sounded late. "I just didn't understand it until I lost you." Megan stood and walked to the window. Not dramatically, just needing distance. The city stretched below them, busy, unconcerned. "I need to be very clear," she said quietly. He nodded. "You broke something in me that night. Not accusation, truth. I had built my world around you." Pause. "And that was my mistake." She turned back toward him. "I thought you were the center." She shook her head slightly. "I was wrong." Silence filled the room. "Now I am the center of my own life." That was the real victory. "Nathan doesn't complete me," she continued. "I was never incomplete." She let that sit. "He complements who I became after I stopped trying to earn love." Brandon swallowed. "I'm choosing you now." And there it was, the line that would have once fixed everything. Megan answered gently. "No, not cold, not angry, just final." "You don't love me." He flinched. "You love who I used to be." She held his gaze. "You love the version of me that needed you." Pause. "That version doesn't exist anymore." That landed. "You don't miss me," she said softly. "You miss how I made you feel about yourself." That was the truth he needed. Not punishment, clarity. "I hope you find what you're actually looking for," she added. "And I hope this time you recognize it sooner." He stood slowly. He understood. This wasn't negotiation. This was closure. "Nathan is a lucky man," he said quietly. Megan shook her head slightly. "I'm the lucky one." And she meant it. Not because of Nathan, because of herself. After he left, she sat down slowly. One long breath left her chest. Not victory, not revenge. Freedom. Like a door she didn't realize was still open had finally closed, and she didn't need to check behind her anymore. And that evening, Nathan was cooking dinner in their shared apartment. Nothing fancy, pasta, music playing quietly. Normal life. The kind she used to think was boring. Now it felt priceless. She told him everything. He didn't interrupt, didn't react immediately, just listened. When she finished, he asked one question. "Are you okay?" Not, "What did he say?" Not, "What did you say?" Just, "Are you okay?" "Yes," she said, and she was. After a moment, Nathan said quietly, "I love you." No big setup, no dramatic speech, just truth finally said out loud. She smiled slightly. "I love you too." It felt natural, not overwhelming, not consuming, just right. Later that year, on a warm September evening, almost exactly 1 year after the worst night of her life, Nathan took her to Briarwood Park, the place where they had first spent time together outside work. He was clearly nervous. That actually made her trust the moment more. He didn't promise perfection. "I can't promise a perfect life," he said, "but I can promise consistency." That was better. "I will choose you on good days." Pause. "And on hard ones." Pause. "And on ordinary days when nothing exciting is happening." That was the real promise. When he opened the ring box, she laughed softly through tears. Because it was exactly her style. Understated, elegant, intentional. "Yes," she said, this time without fear. When he put the ring on her finger, she finally understood something she had misunderstood for years. Love wasn't intensity. It wasn't drama. It wasn't being chosen over someone else. It was being chosen without hesitation. And this time, she wasn't just chosen. She chose too. If this story meant something to you, tell us in the comments. Would you ever take back someone who chose you second? And if you believe in stories about strength, second chances, and knowing your worth, subscribe to Sinner's Stories, because sometimes the worst night of your life is just the beginning of the right one.